Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me for this screencast. This screencast is going to be about tech tools at university that will really make your life a lot easier. And they are not in any way complicated, but just very, very useful. And they're also really very useful for neurodivergent students too. So they are neurodivergent friendly. So I'm going to talk you through some of them and give you some examples. My name's Nikki Walker, by the way. Okay, so let's start with the slides. I'll tell you what we're going to be talking about. Okay, let's go. Okay, so the first one I want to tell you about is an incredible tool which is completely free. It's called Notebook LM. You may have heard of it before, but I'm going to show you an extra little bit that's just been added to it that I think is absolutely incredible. So we'll talk about that one first of all, and I'll show you an example. The next one is called Quizlet, just a way to make work a little bit more fun and engaging. We've got using AI in a safe way that doesn't compromise academic integrity. So we're going to use AI and look at something called a Feynman technique, really, really good for revision. And number 4, I absolutely love, it's called Goblin Tools. Initially actually created for people with ADHD, although I think it can be useful for anybody who, that have maybe problems with executive function or how to get started in something and how to break it down into small pieces. This is amazing. Then you've got Dubby, which is an app, and Flora, which is a focus app. So let's get started. Notebook LM. So Notebook LM was created by Google. It is a free, completely free tool that makes reading much more interactive. So you can drag and drop a PDF, academic article, or your lecture slides. You pop it into Notebook LM and I'll show you exactly what it does. So it turns your reading into something that you can listen to, a podcast, two people talking, and they make it much more accessible, engaging, and a really nice way to start your reading, just to give you that bit of motivation. Um, so let me show you how it works. Now, this is always a little bit faffy, but just bear with me and I will show you. Should be very quick. Okay. Notebook LM. Here we go. Okay, so Notebook LM, here's one I prepared earlier. So I've written a blog called What You Focus On Grows. It's all about ADHD and neuroplasticity. So basically, I'll use this as the example. Now, you would very simply just press Create New. And in there, you pop in all your reading sources. So up to 50 it can take. I've just used one for this. So let's have a look at what it can do. Once you've popped it in, it will do kind of a little abstract. Um, you can create from all of that reading, it will synthesize it, and you can create a mind map with that, which I'll show you in a moment. But the most important bit, and I think the most exciting part, is when you go to Studio at the top here on the right. If you press Studio, so this one has been made already, but what you can do is you can customize your podcast. So you might say something like, please explain difficult concepts and terminology. I sometimes change the tone a little bit. It's too American people talking. So I changed the tone maybe to make it more, sometimes more academic or less formal, whichever way you want it to go. So let me just make sure that you can listen to this. I want to make sure that it's working. Okay, I think that should work. Let me just make sure. Okay, okay. Now, here we go. And watch what happens.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be diving in.
Today we're tackling something that, well, it sounds pretty straightforward at first,
Uh-huh.
but it has these really profound implications for how we experience the world, even how our brains are like physically built.
Yeah, it's this core idea. What you focus on doesn't just, float around in your head.
Right, it actively shapes it. It changes the structure.
Exactly. It's no, oh, hey there, how can we help?
Hi, what do you mean it changes the structure?
Oh, he's there. Great question. When we say it changes the structure, we're talking about actual physical changes in your brain.
Exactly. Think of it like this. The more you use a certain mental pathway, the stronger that pathway becomes.
Like a well-trodden trail in a forest.
Precisely. And our source today, by Nikki Walker, talks about something called neuroplasticity.
Okay, let's unpack this neuroplasticity thing a bit then. What exactly is it?
It's your brain's incredible.
So there you go. That is the basics of Notebook LM. So if you imagine that you are finding it hard to get motivated to start your reading, this can be a really good way to access it. I will say, however, that please don't let this replace your reading. It's a good idea perhaps to start this way and then go to your reading highlighter, make it active too. But a really good way to get started, plus the fact that you could maybe stay active while you're listening to it. So I get jobs done, go for a walk, whatever you want to do. Um, yeah, a nice way to get into your reading. Okay, so the next one I'm going to introduce you to is called Quizlet. So I'm going to take you straight there, actually. Now, Quizlet is a little bit like Anki, you might have heard of. It creates flashcards, but I think Quizlet just makes them visually a little bit nicer. Plus, there are some new features. So again, this is something that I have prepared earlier. I've popped in my slides, and then you can get it to create study guides for you, flashcards, practice tests, all sorts of nice things. So let's have a look. Okay, so here it creates an overview of all your slides. Oh, nice. You can highlight it, etc. If I go to study and maybe let's go to flashcards. Okay, so here we've got all sorts of games. There's even something like Space Raiders, a blasting game, matching game, tests, all sorts of different ways to learn that can just make memorization of terminology uh, much more fun. So, for example, flashcards. Um, let's go back. Matching. Ready to play, start the game. Okay, so yeah, matching activity. Um, like so. So you can have these prepared through all of your sources, or you can create your own flashcards. So there's various ways you can do this. I do know that you at some stage some of the features you do need to pay for, but there is quite a lot available on here for free. Um, if you are going into pre-made flashcards, sometimes it says they've been created by the teacher, so it's a good idea to choose those and don't forget to make sure it's the right level for your work. So that is Quizlet. Okay, so those so far two um, of the tech tools that I wanted to introduce you to. Now, let's have a look at, okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so just a little bit more on Quizlet. It does gamify, it makes it interactive. It can even be competitive and you can compete with other people too. So a nice way to learn and reinforce memory. Okay, this is another really good one. So this is called the Feynman technique, but using AI. So we know that what can really help with memory retention is a certain technique where you teach your particular subject. And if you do this, you can use a study partner, but if you struggle to always have a study partner handy, this is another way of doing it. So it can be really really very effective. So you would use an AI platform like ChatGPT, whichever one you use, to practice the Feynman technique. So put simply, you teach your topic to AI. It will ask you questions and it will highlight any gaps in your knowledge. You then refine your understanding of it and you'll use a prompt that can, I will show you next. So one thing to do when you're using AI is to activate the voice feature. It's far too much to type everything in. So do activate the voice feature. AI will teach you how to do this. It's very simple. And then you can copy and paste this prompt. So I want you to act as my Feynman study partner. Based on the topic I provide, identify the key concepts, terms, or sections that are crucial for me to understand. Then select one concept at a time and ask me to explain it as clearly as possible. After I respond, provide detailed feedback, pointing out gaps in my knowledge, areas that could be more accurate, and anything that could simplify it further. Feel free to ask follow-up questions to deepen my understanding. Let's start with the topic and the level that you're at as well. So first year, second year, you can pop that in too. So you can have a bit of fun with this. It's certainly a really effective way to help memorize and prepare yourself for exams. So that's a really nice one. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one when you're ready. Okay, this is another one of my favorites. It's called Goblin Tools. This is free, so a free suite of tools made for specifically for neurodivergent users. But like I say, I think anyone can really benefit from this. So it has something called a magic to do, which breaks your task. It could be a dissertation, it could be an essay, it could be a PhD, whatever it is. It can break it down and allow you a tick box so you can tick off each one as you go along, which can be a nice little bit of dopamine. It includes also an estimator, which helps with time planning, roughly how long this should take. It even has things like a chef to create simple meals out of ingredients that you have. So it does all sorts of things. But certainly for your academic work, the magic to do is incredibly useful. So let's have a little look. Okay, so I'm going to show you Goblin Tools. They are. Here it is. Okay. Okay, goblin tools. Now, I've put in a little example here. So in this box, I wrote a literature review on emotionally based school avoidance for my research PhD. So I typed that in there. And then you can choose how many chilies. So basically, let's just show you this. This is the spiciness level. So if you want it to be not broken down too much, you don't want it to be too overwhelming, you can start with 1 chili. But then you can have it right up to the top amount, 5, and it will really break it down. So you can decide. For this one, I think I went for a 4 or a 5, so I did want a lot of detail. And here you can see, for a literature review for a PhD, how it breaks it down. So identify the main topic of your research. There's the topic. Determine the scope and objectives. Establish inclusion and exclusion criteria for selecting. Search academic databases, and it lists them. Specific words, etc., etc. So here we go. Filter search results based on relevance, quality, and peer-reviewed status, etc., etc. And the list goes on. But so nice to be able to go finished. Okay. And yeah, a really nice breakdown. So that is the magic to do. Up at the top, you've got other things you can play around with, just a bit of fun, things like that estimates the time. And I think also on this, you can also, here we go, you can estimate time for each one as well. So a nice site to just have a bit of fun with, but also incredibly useful. Formalizer makes your language more formal. Judge, you can put in, for example, an email and it can judge the tone of that email. So yeah, all sorts of things here. Okay, so on to the next one. Oh, okay, so the Flora app is really good for helping you to focus on work. So the Flora app helps you to not get distracted by your phone, because once you have this installed on your phone, it stops you from being able to use your phone basically. And the longer you leave it, it starts to grow forests and trees and plants. And you can also compete with other people to see how much longer you can focus on your work without being distracted by something else. I believe if you leave the app before the time that you set, your tree fades away. So yeah, it's a really good tool. And you can, yeah, as I say, plant trees with your friends for accountability. And the app is free and really, really simple to use. So planting and growing a virtual forest. I thought that was really nice. And okay, we're on to the next one. So some of you might know Ricks and Rocks. Rick and Roxy, they have created something called a Dubby app. And basically that involves body doubling. So this again is to do with motivation when it comes to doing any kind of work at university. It is, I believe, partly free. You can go a little bit further with it, but it is a daily audio app created specifically for neurodivergent people, but I definitely think it can be useful for others too. So nice short motivational audio clips, study tips, encouragement and support. So you can start work at the same time as body doubling someone else doing work. And that can just give you enough motivation to get started. It's low pressure, it's really easy to listen to. So yeah, this is also a really nice tool to use. Okay, I think that is it for all of them today, just short and sweet. I do put on workshops. You're more than welcome to join. But thank you very much for listening. Now, just wanted to add that at the University of Lancashire, or Central Lancashire, to book on for a one-to-one with us, we are the study skills advisors. You can just use this QR code. We're based in the SAS, the Student Support Services, in the upper ground floor of the Student Centre. So please do come along with your work and with any questions. Okay, thank you.